Live to you from Boston, Massachusetts. It's Cruise Boss and Cruising Holden from the Cruise&Cocoa Show.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Cruise&Cocoa Show. I am Cruise Boss.
And my name's Cruise& Holden. Good morning.
Yeah, and we have some really good news today. So let's go ahead and get that started.
Yes.
Royal Caribbean's chief meteorologist, I believe that is no longer working for the cruise line.
Yeah, this guy is very active on things like Twitter. He will do like the little newscasts. I think it's even projected onto the stateroom TVs, but he is no longer going to be working for Royal Caribbean.
Yeah, and for our next news, Norwegian Cruise Line has canceled its 2024 Alaska cruise bookings on Norwegian Spirit due to a full ship charter.
Yeah, this is just a ship that was going to do an Alaskan sailing during 2024, but this is going to be canceled due to a charter on the ship.
Would you like to tell our viewers what a charter is?
It's kind of like when a cruise line or another company buys a ship, I guess. Not really buys, but uses the ship for a certain amount of time, if that makes sense.
Yeah. All right, and Carnival Dream rescues an overturned boat on its Western Caribbean cruise. I believe they were near Belize.
Yeah, so it looks like a boat flipped, apparently. I think it was like a motorboat or something along.
Yeah, it's like a small raft.
Yeah, like a littler boat. And the Carnival Dream, which is a cruise ship owned by Carnival Cruise Line, which is in their Dream class, saved the boat and the people on board.
Yeah, so Carnival Dream, basically they contacted the Coast Guard, and then they sent down a lifeboat, got them on the ship, and then the Coast Guard came and took them.
Yeah.
That's basically it.
Very cool rescue story.
And Port Miami marked its busiest cruise passenger day ever of
68,000 passengers, something like that.
It was in April, but still pretty new.
It kind of just started appearing in the news recently.
Yeah, and they have cruise ships from Royal Caribbean, Carnival Cruise Line, MSC Cruises, Norwegian Cruise Line, Virgin Voyages, and Seabourn.
Yeah, there were a lot of ships there, and they carried 68,000 passengers. They did have a couple mega ships, including the Oasis of the Seas was there, which I've been on. The first vlog will be released this Friday, boarding day, and that probably helped it a bit. And it's definitely proving that cruising has started back up, because this is their busiest port day ever. It's not since the shutdown or anything.
Ever.
Cruising is bigger and better than before the shutdown. So I guess in some ways it helped the industry. But
yeah, it's definitely coming back.
But yeah, they just marked
their giant breaks of just going on cruises.
Yeah, but they just marked their busiest port day.
Yeah, and Explorer One has announced details on the owner's residence on board its upcoming ship, Explorer One. Would you like to talk about the owner's residence?
Yeah, so the owner's residence is practically going to be like a big suite on board the ship. You are going to have a huge wraparound balcony kind of thing. I believe there will be a hot tub and other amenities on the balcony. The room is actually quite big. Well, obviously because it's a owner's residence, it should be pretty big. It has
I believe it fits 3 adults and 2 kids.
Yeah, that sounds right. There is some bedrooms, there's a living room. It's just an amazing room overall. And this is going to be on the Explorer One, which is going to be sailing with MSC's new luxury cruise brand. And the Explorer One will be coming to Boston, which is our home cruise port, very soon. Yeah. And it'll be doing its maiden voyage, I believe, out of Southampton or something like that.
Yeah. And the town of Seaport, Maine is looking to get into the cruise business. So, they are not really set up for cruises. they don't have a real cruise port that's like can fit a big cruise ship. So they're gonna have to use tender boats to come and charter the passengers from the ship to the island.
Yes.
And they already have multiple offers starting in October.
Yeah, so Seaport, Maine is actually quite close to us here in Boston, just 2 states over or something.
Oh, yeah.
I've actually
Really
been
close.
there personally.
Yeah.
And what they're doing is they're going to try to get cruise ships over there. And it'll be kind of like NCL's private island or just other places in general where they do not have a dock that can fit cruise ships. So they are going to tender passengers over to the island, to the port, sorry. It's not an island. It's in the U.S. And I don't know if they will have tender boats. I know this may sound weird, but I think some cruise ships can even use their lifeboats. I don't know. But I think they'll just use the tender boats. So they will get tendered to the island and the port. And
I do know that some cruise lines use lifeboats to to charter all their passengers from like one point to another.
Yeah.
There's definitely pictures on Google if you were to look it up.
But I just don't know how well this is going to go because just in my opinion, I do not really like ports that you do tenders because it takes you at least sometimes up to an hour to tender over. The boat ride, the actual tender ride itself should be quick, but then the 4,000 passengers who are on the ship are just all trying to cram onto these boats, and it is just really annoying. And by the time everyone does get on the tender and you get to the island, you only have a bit of time before then you have to try to tender back to the ship. So we'll just see how this goes, and it might be a bit messy too, because they're a new cruise port, obviously, but we'll see how this goes and what ships do end up sailing there.
Yeah. And Carnival Cruise Line's Venezia will be spending the winter of 2024 through 2025 sailing out of Port Canaveral.
Yeah, the Carnival Venezia, which is part of the Carnival Fun Italian style, is currently home ported in New York, but it looks like because New York does get chilly during the winter that they will then be bringing them over to the Port Canaveral during the winter months.
Yeah, and sorry about the slight problem that we just had. We're having a few.
It looks like we are just experiencing a couple technical difficulties right now during the show with Cruise Boss. So let's just get on to the next news story while we connect him.
There we go, I'm back.
Awesome.
And Holden, would you like to do the next story? Will I just get my thing reset up?
Sure thing. The next story today is that the guests and crew are going to be providing. The guests and crew have provided positive feedback for SpaceX Starlink. SpaceX Starlink is the new Wi-Fi that has been put on many new cruise ships. Royal Caribbean is adding it, NCL is adding it, and it looks like everyone is pretty much moving to Starlink as it has gotten some really positive reviews. Yeah. As you know, a lot of cruise ships Wi-Fi is very slow. It's really hard to connect, but SpaceX Starlink seems to be doing quite well.
Yeah, and while we're on this story, guests on the Holland America's Kongens Dam, I think.
Yeah, Holland America ships are always weird.
That ship is currently giving really good reviews from the guests and crew, and it looks like more Holland America ships are going to be getting it.
Yeah, they just did add Starlink. That is the first Starlink Wi-Fi to be added to any Holland America ship. So I guess they're testing it out on that ship, and then we'll see how it goes.
And Royal Caribbean's Odyssey of the Seas had to miss 2 ports during its current Holy Land sailing due to political unrest in Israel. Yeah, sorry, I can literally just not speak today.
No worries. Yeah, I believe it was a 12-day sailing going around that area, and they only canceled the port stops in Israel due to some things going on there right now. All the other stops were still fine, and I think they replaced those two stops in with some ports in Greece, if I am getting that right. But yeah, they just canceled two ports for when they were in Israel.
Yeah. So, for our next news, Royal Caribbean International has announced its 2024 Asian sailings.
Yeah, they have just
including its return to China for the first time since the cruise industry shut down. So that's some really big news.
Yeah, so it is definitely big news, but there's not much I can really tell you about it. They have just announced a couple ports and all of that stuff that are going to be visiting in 2024 for their Asia schedule, which is going to be quite cool to see them resuming some more Asian market kind of sailings.
Oh, yeah, I cannot wait to see this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
And Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville at Sea branded cruise ship has announced details on the renovation of its Palm Beach-based ship, including cheeseburgers.
Yeah, so there was a lot of hype around Jimmy Buffett's new cruise line, which launched about a year ago to the date. And then once the hype was going, and then once people boarded the ship, they noticed that this, as you know, this is like a 30-year-old ship. It's from the early 90s.
It's not really the best ship.
And the cruise line made it seem like they had done this huge renovation, but what passengers noticed is they kind of just slapped some paint onto the old walls and just called it a new cruise ship. But once they noticed the complaints about just the cruise ship not really being in that well of good hands or just not being in the best shape in general, they said that they were going to now do another refit, which has actually just been, it's going to be completed in about a week.
Yeah. And for our next news, Carnival Cruise Line's Carnival Magic has returned to Norfolk, Virginia, and we have some more news coming up about Carnival in Virginia, which is actually our next news story. So I can't wait to talk more about this.
Yeah, so they have just put the Carnival Magic into Norfolk, Virginia. It is kind of weird because I guess there's a lot of news about the Carnival Magic this week because we just did a story about the Carnival Magic saving the overturned vessel, and now it's this. But it looks like they are just returning the Carnival Magic into Virginia.
And talking about Virginia, in 2025, Carnival will sail from Virginia year-round.
Yeah, they're going to be putting ships in this port for year-round, and this may sound weird, but I didn't really know Virginia was like a big cruise port, kind of like not a big cruise port, but like I didn't really know many ships sailed out of it. I guess I could see a couple yachts going there and some smaller like expedition kind of ships, but I didn't really know that that was a big cruise port, but it looks like they will be putting more ships there.
Yeah, and for our final news today, Princess Cruises detailed entertainment on its upcoming new build, the Sun Princess.
Yeah, so the Sun Princess is going to be a totally new class for Princess Cruises, and by looking at it, you can see they're definitely going in a different direction. Usually they stick with their very modern, sleek, but yet still very like classic looking ships. But this ship, when you look at it, is this very modern, very futuristic ship, which they don't usually do. There's giant domes, they're doing a new kind of like bow of the ship and just some other things. And they have announced a couple, not announced, but they have posted a couple trailers for the ship, and they've also announced a couple things that will be on the ship. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this ship turns out.
Yeah, and before we end this episode, would you like to tell us a little bit more about your vlog series? And I do know we talked about this when you did your Cocoa Cave video.
Yeah.
But would you like to tell us a little bit about your actual vlog series and experience on the ship?
Sure. So I just April got off of a sailing on board Royal Caribbean's mega ship Oasis of the Seas. This was probably the best cruise I've ever been on, and it was just so fun in general. We did so many amazing things and stopped at ports including Labadee, Haiti, which is Royal Caribbean's private destination. We stopped at St. Thomas. We also stopped at San Juan. And last but not least, we stopped at Royal Caribbean's perfect day at Coco Cay and got the Thrill Water Park passes. It was such a fun vacation, and my vlogs will be starting this Friday. I guess, like, not the Friday that was yesterday, but starting this week, we are going to be posting the vlog series every Friday. I'm going to be setting the premiere up today, actually, for the next episode, or the first episode, which is going to be the boarding day of the Oasis of the Seas, where we board the cruise ship, do some fun activities, and more.
Yeah, and once your vlog series is completely out, we're actually planning on having an interview, so make sure you are there for that. We cannot wait to show you it.
Yeah, I'd love to have you watch that.
And coming up on all of our Cruise and Cocoa episodes, we will be playing Cruising Holden's vlog series.
Yeah, that'll be really cool to see my vlog series premiered on board this cruise live.
Yeah, and coming out tomorrow, my first day at Disney, Epcot, will be going live on my channel. So make sure to check out my vlog series.
Yep, make sure to check out the premiere. He tries out an amazing restaurant where he flies into space.
Oh yeah, and Space 220.
Yeah, and rides some rides. That will be premiering tomorrow, Sunday at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
So make sure to be there for the premiere. And if you are on the premiere, type in the premiere chat Cruise&Cocoa to say that you watched this.
Yeah.
All right.
Like and subscribe. Once again, I am Cruise Boss. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Thanks for watching. Bye, guys.